in just the past 2 years, we have seen in the visual arts, all the public art that has just more than 24 murals have been painted in Harrisonburg in just the past 2 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Welcome to Being the Change, the official podcast of James Madison University, brought to you by Madison Magazine. Each episode brings you stories of how members of the JMU community combine intellect with action to live lives of purpose and meaning. That's being the change.
What's up, JMU? Andy Perrine here. Welcome to Being the Change. In this episode, we're going to talk about something very important from the perspective of creating community, and that is the art scene in Harrisonburg, Rockingham County, and on the JMU campus. And it's a really important element to all of our lives to be able to encounter art. And if you've been in Harrisonburg in the last couple of years, you probably will have noticed that there are demonstrably increased amount of public art and lots more galleries, lots more events. And our two guests are two of the primary movers and shakers that is making this scene happen. We have with us Catherine Noosa-Logan, and she is the executive director of the Office of Creative Propulsion at JMU. Catherine, welcome.
Thank you.
And we have Jenny Burden with us. Jenny is the executive director of the Arts Council of the Valley. Jenny, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
It's so great to have you both. Now, one of the things I think that is most interesting about the efforts that the Office of Creative Propulsion and the Arts Council of the Valley is doing is making Harrisonburg a very distinctive scene, a very distinctive art scene. Jenny, let's start with you. One of the things that I think our listeners will appreciate is that Jenny is an art historian, and Catherine is an artist and a musician, which is also an artist. I don't know why that distinction needs to be made, right? But Jenny, the art scene in Harrisonburg has become so distinctive. In what ways do you see it as the director of the Arts Council of the Valley as distinctive?
Sure. And in just the past 2 years, we have seen in the visual arts, all the public art that has just more than 24 murals have been painted in Harrisonburg in just the past 2 years. Yeah. That's amazing.
It's one of the things I've always loved about Richmond is that there's a mural on every wall.
There is.
And Harrisonburg is beginning to look like that. Yeah,
We're getting there.
Right.
And they tell a story. And those murals, they tell a story of who is Harrisonburg, what is important to Harrisonburg. And these artists can grasp that and display it on the wall for all visitors as well as local residents to see. And I think that is just one aspect of what makes us distinct.
Well, you know, as you're going north on 11 on Main Street and you're coming up to Court Square, there's a beautiful, beautiful photorealistic mural that's still coming together. It's still in process of being painted. And it depicts people from every walk of life, and it's aimed at depicting diversity and unity. And Harrisonburg has 70 languages spoken in the high school or in the public schools. So, as you say, Jenny, it's depicting who we are and why we're distinctive as a community. So that's a perfect example, wouldn't you say?
Right. And there's a wonderful story behind that mural.
What is it?
Oh, I'd love to tell you.
Yeah. Because the Arts Council of the Valley helped make it happen.
Yes, we are. We're helping to make it happen. It isn't quite finished yet, but David Drame is the artist who is working on that mural, and he actually teaches art classes to students in Iran. And these are students who are unable to experience higher education in their own country except for online. And so David is one of those professors who is helping them in the arts. And they knew that David had created a mural in California. And they said, oh gosh, we would love to create a mural, but we can't. We can't do it in our own country. So David came up with the idea of having his students in Iran design the mural, and then he would have students in Harrisonburg, with his help, of course, paint that mural. And what a collaboration, and what a gift to our community as well as to those students.
Yeah. Well, if you're interested in seeing the mural, it's on the Arts Council of the Valley website, and it just or walk downtown
Or walk downtown.
if you're around. And Catherine, I think one of the MFA students currently at JMU is one of David's primary assistants in painting. Isn't that right?
That would be my guess. It's Vey, right?
Vey, yeah.
Vey is a muralist who is a second year, I believe, MFA student.
He's from Nigeria.
And he has done a ton of mural work. It's sort of his research. So
I think
he's doing a lot in the community.
And there's probably about 10 or 11 of his murals just on campus.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing work.
Yeah, I saw him on the news about it, actually, just by chance.
Oh, that's great.
There he is. Yeah.
Well, he happens to be a very colorful character, so I'm not surprised he was asked to be on the news. Catherine, in your role at the Office of Creative Propulsion at JMU, art really reflects not only who a community is, but what the community's values are, and how its creativity can be expressed. In your role in the Office of Creative Propulsion, what does that mean in terms of your mission and what you're hoping to accomplish?
So the idea behind the Office of Creative Propulsion is to, we call ourselves an integrative arts office, which to us has to do with boundary crossing. So that is between different arts disciplines, between the arts and non-arts disciplines, and then also between the arts on campus and the arts off campus. So kind of anywhere you might see a barrier to collaboration in the arts, we're trying to cross that barrier and sort of answer that. So that's sort of our work. And so part of that means that we are trying to be out in the community. And one of the biggest things to me is building relationships. So, Jenny and I have an ongoing relationship. We try to meet quite regularly so that we know, we're trying to build mutually beneficial relationships between the arts at JMU and the arts in Harrisonburg. So the idea is we can hopefully, by being in regular communication, build dreams together. Yeah.
And the name, the Office of Creative Propulsion, is an interesting name. What's behind that?
Yeah, I can't take credit. I inherited it. It was begun before I got here. But the way that I like to think about it in terms of how we sort of operationalize the idea behind the name is we try to take people's ideas and make them possible. Sometimes people don't really need help with that, and they can manage their own ideas just fine. But again, with the barriers and the boundary crossing, sometimes it's really hard to speak with someone outside of your discipline, to know how to translate your ideas to folks who don't have the same background as you, or to understand the differences between the rules on campus and the rules off campus, and where do we meet? With the sort of logistical issues, we try to answer some of that.
And the Arts Council of the Valley, Jenny, you guys are a propellant also with some of your granting programs. Explain how that works.
We are. So we have a program, Advancing the Arts Grants, and can I say to date how much we have awarded?
Please.
More than $500,000.
Wow. Over the course of how long?
Oh, since 2001.
Okay.
So 528,000 plus. And they have gone to artists in the community, all in Harrisonburg or Rockingham County, or art educators. And I love giving to artists in the school system because they have dreams and they have projects that they want to cover and they can't in their own budget, and that's where we come in. So we've purchased a kiln for an elementary school. We've purchased a printing press. We have purchased violins. That was one of the very first things we did. We the new Rocktown House of Music.
Oh yeah.
Was awarded one of our grants
this
for
is Trent Wagler and the Steel Wheels. Right.
Yes, and John Hostetter.
Yeah, sure.
John Hostetter.
He's wonderful.
He is. They all are, and I love the introduction of that to our community, that House of Music. So we helped with a music library so that children can check out instruments, and so we helped with that. So many projects that would not have seen the light of day, I don't think, if not for our granting program. So it's really exciting.
Well, a lot of that stuff is very grassroots and not obvious. But the Arts Council of the Valley does things that are obvious too. One of my favorite recent projects is you guys funded the traffic cabinet wraps downtown, didn't you?
In sweat equity, we did. In sweat equity, we sure did. I'll tell you who helped fund that project was Harrisonburg Downtown Renaissance and the city. And the city, they actually provided dollars. But we
You got the artists
I'd like to
together
say
and-
administered.
Yeah.
We administered that. And yes, there are 10 traffic cabinets that are wrapped in art in downtown Harrisonburg. And we hope to do an additional 10 in 2028, I believe is the time frame. So stay tuned on that. But yes, all local artists who applied, and their artwork was then sent to a company who transferred those onto vinyl, and then the company wrapped the traffic cabinets.
Well, and not only are they beautiful pieces of art themselves, but they transform something that's rather ugly,
Mundane and ugly and-
utilitarian into something that's lovely. So it kind of creates an ecosystem that is applied to places that already exist in our lives. Well, I use the word ecosystem purposefully because what you're both doing is developing an arts ecosystem. How important is it, Catherine, I'll send this to you first. How important is it in the mission of the Office of Creative Propulsion that there be an ecosystem and it's sustainable and it's welcoming and inclusive?
Oh, hugely. Yeah, maybe at the top. So, we are doing this work that I mentioned about the boundary crossing and making connections. But another big part of our work is in arts advocacy. So we're trying to have regular public conversations about why the arts matter, and they're not, the whipped cream and the cherry on top. They're, an integral part of our lives. Art is a part of culture. Culture acts on us. It's a part of helping us identify what we believe in as a community, and those things are vitally important. What we believe, the arts help us, imagine new futures beyond the worlds that we know, and so to me they're vitally important, and so advocacy is a big part of our work too.
And speaking of how important it is, Jenny, I think you and I were talking about this a while back, that when we discover ancient civilizations, it's always the artwork that has lasted and that has meaning and is most expressive of who those civilizations were. As an art historian, and following up on Catherine's description of the importance of an ecosystem, how essential is that to the mission of the Arts Council?
Well, true. And again, extremely important as well. And it is what we leave behind. And it is what we tell our future selves about what we were like here, right, at this time. And of course, it's very important to the Arts Council.
And there's a couple things happening right now that I think are important for our listeners on campus and off campus to know about. And this is, Catherine, for a while, you've been working on developing a new arts installation, and it's called the Arts at 131, right? It's a gallery space, and it's right next to Greenberry's on Gray Street. Tell us a little bit about that project.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have been this has been in progress for many years, but we moved into a new building in August.
And it's actually an old building.
It's an old building. It's
Yeah.
a historic building, a Weitzel Seed building.
It's a cool old industrial building with the big windows. Yeah,
Yep.
it's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're referring to it as a new arts engagement site. And so there are 3 galleries as a part of this, but then we're also using it as an interdisciplinary arts site of various kinds of engagement. So we've been having some classes meet in there. We have been I mean, you name it. We've had all kinds of interactions going on in there so far, and we are scheduled to officially open in a public way this coming week.
That's great. And are you bringing young kids in there? Is it like a crossroads for the community?
The hope is that it's a crossroads for the community. Yeah. So we're still sort of figuring out exactly what that looks like, but we will, if nothing, just to start with, we will have open gallery hours that will be open to the community. And then we're sort of working out how to operationalize this as a place for community and the arts on campus to meet.
Well, speaking of places, Jenny, the Arts Council of the Valley for many years ran the Court Square Theater, and there's been a recent change in that, and I think a lot of our community members are curious about that change and how our habits as attendees have changed and how arts funding has changed. So tell us about this news.
Well, December was a very sad month for the Arts Council, but it really had been building since the beginning of our fiscal year, which is July. So from July until December, we saw this shift. Actually, we've seen the shift since the pandemic.
Right. People stopped showing up at things.
Oh, right. Of course. And if I may go all the way back to the pandemic, we closed the theater, of course.
Sure.
We called it a pandemic pause for 18 months. And during that time, we put together a research committee to determine if we can reopen at all, because the truth of the matter was it was barely breaking even up and with all of our funding and with everything prior to, and ultimately because of a federal grant through the SBA, it was called the Shutter Venue Operators Grant. We were able to reopen after the pandemic. We were very excited, and we were able to hire a managing director of the theater and then a part-time person in addition. And we thought, okay, it's back. And at first it was. I mean, a lot of people came out.
Oh, sure.
They missed the arts during and being together and experiencing the arts. And that was going along happily until we ran out of those funds.
Right.
And in the meantime, since the pandemic, our funding from our local government, so city and county, those were going down. They started decreasing. And with that decrease in funding, we started to see, after the initial excitement of being open and being together, a decrease in attendance.
Yeah.
And with a 260-seat theater, you can only charge so much you have to charge a lot, I should say. It's just the opposite of what I said a second ago.
If you get like a traveling road show, those are going to be expensive seats because there's not that many of them.
Right, exactly. So our ticket prices were going up, our attendance was going down, and our funding was going down. So from July until the end of December, we spent $100,000 of our own budget, of our own funds on that, and since 2023, an additional $100,000. So once that federal funding ran out and we started in ordering to fill the gap, and I didn't even see it at first. It was, we're going to do this. We are going to do this. We can do it.
This is one of the challenges of a mission-driven organization. You're passionate about it. It's not necessarily the bottom line.
We loved that theater. We operated it for 25 years, and it just got to the point where it was jeopardizing our other programs. I mean, we have 4 other programs, and if we continued, I think the whole organization would have been in jeopardy.
Well, and you wouldn't have been serving
anybody,
the community the way that you described earlier about getting a kiln to a school, and violins to kids and stuff like that. Right.
And our Smith House galleries and working with JMU with Catherine on the Artsmobile. We love bringing that down during First Fridays. It's having that
and it's been
outside.
It's been at the farmers market too. I think. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so there are so many things, and actually I'm really excited about the future of the Arts Council and how we can better serve the community. And we will continue to support the the performing arts. It's just going to be in a different way.
Right, right.
And the good news is it's not closed.
Well, some artists came together who were planning a performance,
right,
and who were sort of indomitable in that the show must go on.
The show must go on, and that's Little Mermaid, and it will go on at the end of February.
Right.
And Little Mermaid is being produced by Act One, which started at the Arts Council, right? And then Act One.
And it's run by J.P. Gullah.
Who was the managing director at the time.
Right.
And he left to pursue other things, and he decided to take Act One, which we're thrilled because he was the mastermind behind it, and to keep it alive, he got his own 501c3, his own nonprofit status, just last fall. And so he's putting on, he is the one who stepped forward and said, Act One can operate this with the help of the owner of the building, which is Harrisonburg Redevelopment and Housing Authority.
The HRHA.
HRHA.
They own the building, right.
They own the building.
And I think HRHA is going to hold some listening sessions soon.
They are next week.
Okay.
February 5th, 7th, and 9th. And the 5th and the 7th are in person, and they will be held at Court Square Theater. The 9th is virtual. And anyone can go. They're going to give a tour of the theater to begin with, and then go upstairs at Capitol Oil and in that second floor area and talk about what does the community want to see in its theater, because it is the community's theater. And for that reason, the Arts Council owns the projector that's in there. We just replaced the curtains in there.
That's not cheap.
Replaced the seats.
The seats
a
were
little
a
while
huge
ago.
campaign.
They were a huge campaign. And a few other things in there. And we're like, please use them. If this is going to be operated, if someone can operate it as a theater and make a go of it, we want that to happen.
Well, that's a wonderful legacy for the Arts Council of the Valley to provide. Yeah.
Do you mind if I jump in?
No, please do.
Only because you were asking earlier, Andy, about what makes Harrisonburg's art scene distinctive. And I feel like this is such a great example because, coming in, I've only been here a couple of years now. So in a way, I still feel like kind of an outsider. I'm still sort of learning how things operate. And I feel like one of the things that has been most distinctive to me is how community-driven the art scene is. It seems very collective. And this is a perfect example, that there are going to be these listening sessions where folks are going to come together to have conversations about what the community wants this space to be and do. That feels like a really special thing to me coming in from the outside.
And it is, definitely.
Well, that's a lovely point in that, an organization was running this institution, Court Square Theater, and no longer could because it was drifting from its mission and its financial commitments to its other programming. Yet this happened. Yet the community came together and said, we're still doing it. Let's go. They raised the standard and people followed. That's a beautiful way to look at it, Catherine.
Well, and I think I feel like I see that in so many other areas. You mentioned I'm a musician, I'm a songwriter, so I'm out in the scene a little bit here and there. And, things like Mac Rock, things like the way that the DIY scene has kind of shifted and evolved and re-evolved based on places closing and places opening up. I think it's really special, and you don't see that everywhere.
I was faculty advisor for Mac Rock for years.
Oh my!
And the DIY element, the do-it-yourself element, to me was always the most impressive. All the kids down at XJM were so passionate about it and really made a crazy, cool thing happen. Where there was some really big artists that have been through that. Mac Rock was a rock and roll indie music festival for years. It still is, and it exists mostly downtown now. What's in the future for us as an art scene? Jenny, you start.
Oh, sure. Okay. So, well, for us at the Arts Council, by the way, the board of the Arts Council is getting together at the end in February to talk about this very thing. I have my ideas. I can tell them right now on your podcast. And they're very exciting in that so we have the Smith House, Smith House Galleries.
Which is right on Main Street.
Right on Main Street, where our galleries are located there as well as our administrative offices. And I would love to see it being used for more performing arts. So, all right, Catherine?
Heard.
Yes, you heard that. And
when you say performing arts, what do you mean in the space downstairs?
Yes,
at the Smith House?
in the galleries area. So if we had, for example, our exhibitions, right now our exhibitions change every month. So every month, which means they last for about 3 to 3.5 weeks.
And it's mostly visual art.
It's all visual art. But what if we had our visual art exhibitions every other month, and on the off month, we bring in, I'm talking about during First Fridays, really, but we bring in a performer or someone doing a demonstration or a gallery talk or a yoga class. I mean, anything, just use the space for the community in the arts, for the arts, but think outside the box.
You mentioned First Fridays. We hadn't talked about that up until now. That is the first Friday of every month, as you might guess by the name. And all the galleries open. How many spaces?
We have about 40 now. 40 venues.
Not all of them are open every first Friday, but...
Right.
Yeah.
We ask that at least every other. Yeah. And they start from up in the northern end of town, up VMRC, and they go all the way down to Bridgewater. So we're kind of expanding outside of the downtown area, but the vast majority are downtown. And
it shows how much the arts impact economics too, because when people go downtown for First Fridays, it's hard to find a seat at a restaurant.
Oh, case in point. Can I say this? Because I was so excited. Of course. Yesterday, I was in the Smith House, and a woman came in with her young son, and she said, "May I park behind the Smith House? It says, only..." It actually says Quilt Museum on it. But anyway, parking only. May I park there? And I said, absolutely, of course. And she said, I own Cuban Burger.
Oh, sure.
And she said, you all, I love what you do. Keep up the good work, especially on First Fridays, because we get so much business during First Fridays. And I was like, yes, thank you for saying so.
Well, they also happen to make an excellent hamburger there.
Oh, they do. I know.
That's true.
I know. They do.
Esquire magazine did a feature, the best hamburger in all 50 states, and Cuban Burger was chosen as Virginia's.
No way!
Yeah,
wow!
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh!
El Vaquero, their signature burger. Yeah.
Wait, let's get that word out. That's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Wow.
Well, from your perspective, Catherine, what's next in the art scene? Yeah,
so as far as our office, we are hoping to start operating this new space really as a site of,
on Gray Street.
of arts and on campus and off, and of in particular interdisciplinary collaboration, experimental work. So we're definitely, as I said, we'll open next week. So we're just now starting to figure out how we're going to operate in that way, but I definitely feel excited for that. More collaborations with the community, with Jenny, and you're hearing performance at Smith House, maybe some performance at Smith House. We've also been having some conversations with Harrisonburg Downtown Renaissance and some other folks, and we're just always thinking about what else, what next, what kinds of collaborations can we dream up, and especially from the university's perspective, this desire to be, a model of the engaged university. We take that mission particularly seriously in my office, and we're thinking always about how to, amplify the arts as a tool of engagement, and to think about the power that the university holds and how to sort of share that power through the arts.
Well, the university and the community, both Harrisonburg and Rockingham County and beyond, collaborate in so many different ways. I'm thinking healthcare, I'm thinking infrastructure. There's so many different ways. This way in the arts, to me, is one of the most, I guess, manifestly beautiful ways that the university and the community collaborate. And all of us are so thankful for your efforts, especially those of us who get to enjoy the art all the time. So Jenny, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Andy. Loved being here.
Catherine, thank you so much.
Thanks, Andy.
And for anybody who's interested in learning more about both organizations, tell us how folks can find out more. Catherine.
Yeah, you can find us on our website, OCP at JMU. And you can also find us on Instagram at JMUOCP. We also host a podcast. We call it Centering the Arts. It was started by a previous iteration of our organization. It was previously called the Institute for Creative Inquiry and has sort of been through some evolution. But we have continued that podcast, Centering the Arts, and you can find that on our website. We have discussions with folks about the arts, thinking about how, process and arts events and connection. And we have students working on it. And it's great. We've done 21 episodes since 2022.
Cool. OCP standing for Office of Creative Propulsion. Jenny, the Arts Council.
The website is valleyarts.org. And we also have Instagram and I guess Facebook too.
And those are great social media properties because there's so much to show, right? It's so visual.
And they should sign up for our newsletters. Do you newsletter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You can find that on our website. Sign up there.
And arts in your inbox is from the Arts
in your inbox.
Arts in your inbox.
Yes. All right, Andy.
I'm an avid reader.
Same here.
Great.
Well, the two of you, thank you so much. And listeners, remember, if you've got an idea for another episode or just like to be in touch, you can reach us at beingthechange@jmu.edu. Until next time, go Dukes.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe to hear more stories about how members of the JMU community are being the change. Dive deeper and explore countless other stories at jmu.edu/Madison Magazine. Go Dukes.
The Being the Change podcast was conceived by Jim Heffernan, editor of Madison Magazine, and me, Andy Perrine, head of JMU Marketing. Thanks to Jenna Polk and her team at the Rose Library Studios, where the show is recorded by Cody Troyer, Steve Adderton, and Olive Santos, all of the crazy talented JMU photo video team, who then produced the final episodes at the Ice House in downtown Harrisonburg. Original music by 2019 alumnus Neil Perrine. You can find the Being the Change podcast on all the popular platforms where we hope you'll like, share, and subscribe.